year is 1987. Nintendo has reinvigorated the video game industry and Sega was preparing themselves to release their 4th generation console to replace the Sega Master System, the Sega Genesis. Nintendo was leading the way with their mascot Mario and the critical and commercial success of Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, and Metroid, who would all become Nintendo staples to this day, made Nintendo a juggernaut, and Sega was running up right behind them with Alex Kidd, leading the charge with Alex Kidd in Miracle World, as Sonic the Hedgehog was not around yet. Video game companies such as Tecmo, SNK, and Konami were getting in on the act, releasing classic games like Rygar, Ikari Warriors, and Castlevania. There was one company who wanted to make a statement, a company who had already had success with Ghosts and Goblins, Capcom. By the end of 1987, Capcom were going to unleash a video game series that would still be loved to this day, span many console generations and spin-off series that are still going strong to this day. He would be known as the Blue Bomber. He is Mega Man. Making his name initially through Nintendo, Mega Man has since gone ahead and crossed over to Sega consoles, PlayStation, and Xbox in the modern day. He has captured the hearts of millions across the globe, including myself, whether it is through the Classic, X, Legends, Battle Network, Z, ZX, and Star Force series. He is a huge character that has produced tons of merchandise, appeared as a character in Captain N the Game Master, had his own cartoon series released in 1994, and as a playable character in the popular Super Smash Bros. Series. He deserves his place in video game history, but where did it all begin for the Blue Bomber? Created by Akira Kitamura and given the name Rockman in Japan, his name is in reference to the music genre rock and roll and meant to work in tandem with his sister Roll. He was renamed to Mega Man for his release across the rest of the world because Capcom Consumer Product Division President Joe Moriarty felt that the title was horrible and changed his name to Mega Man. Other names that were considered in Japan before settling on Rockman was Mighty Kid, Knuckle Kid, and Rainbow Battle Kid. Not gonna lie, I kind of like the Mighty Kid title. Akira Kitamura joined Capcom originally as a graphic designer but was lured into the world of game design and would transfer to the planning team. After getting his transfer, he would quickly find out that he had a lot to learn about games and hardware. He would spend a period of time studying and working on various projects and would join the development team when development began on Mega Man. He would design the pixel art for Mega Man, designing his now iconic 8-bit design, and originally wanted Mega Man to wear a white suit, but settled on his now familiar blue suit to make his animations clearer. His design would later be refined by fellow artist Keiji Inafune, who would design the now iconic anime design. During development, Kitamura would start to think about the game design and enemy placement in the game. In an interview in 2011 featured in the Rockman Mania X collection, he would say, "I started to wonder if designers had really thought about enemy placement and behaviour. In an action or platformer, there's often that one part in a stage where you always die, right? No matter what game, it's those difficulty spikes that become the bottlenecks for players and leaves them the impression that the game was too hard. And yet, at the same time, it's a fact that those tough parts comprise some of the core gameplay in any game. I decided to play a bunch of different games and study just those difficult sections, replaying them over and over. I started to think that if I focused on more detailed, intricate enemy behaviour and placement, then I could probably achieve a better difficulty balance than what action games had offered so far. Kitamura would go on to create the level structure and how the game should behave when it comes to its difficulty balance. He laid out some ground rules when it comes to enemy placement and design. He would continue to say in the aforementioned interview, single, weak little enemies would appear in waves of 3 or 4 individuals, and to the extent possible, I'd avoid mixing up multiple enemies. They would all use the same attacks. I would use differences in terrain and enemy placement to adjust difficulty of a given section. The difficulty of each enemy in the wave would gradually rise, but the last enemy to appear would be easier. All the enemy waves in Mega Man follow that basic pattern. Actually, in the first Mega Man, I applied this midway through development. This game design would be used throughout the rest of the Mega Man series, creating a game that was not only fun to play, but challenging as well. Not challenging to the point where you put the controller down and walk away from the game without ever finishing it. Challenging in that it tests your abilities and gives you a sense of fulfillment when you have a section or the game itself beat. After getting the design of our hero and settling on these ground rules for enemy behaviour and difficulty levels, Kitamura would then go on and settle on the backstory of our hero, his friends, and who would become his arch nemesis. In the year 20XX, before he became Mega Man, he was known as Rock, and alongside his sister Roll, was an assistant to renowned robot designer Dr. Thomas Light. When Dr. Light's laboratory assistant, Dr. Albert Wiley, goes mad and betrays Dr. Light, he uses the robots of the world to attack the general populace. Dr. Light repurposes Rock, who has a strong sense of justice, to create Mega Man. Mega Man, armed with his trusty Mega Buster, is sent out to defeat the evil Dr. Wily, who has acquired an army of robots and is hell-bent on world domination. To even get close to Dr. Wily and his fortress, Mega Man must defeat the last 6 industrial robots created by both Dr. Light and Dr. Wily, who have been corrupted by Dr. Wily and are now known as the Robot Masters. Mega Man must defeat the Robot Masters and Dr. Wily to restore peace to the world. Fun fact, when developing the first Mega Man game, Kitamura envisioned the Robot Master Cutman to be the hero. In the interview for Rockman Mania X Collection, he would state, "When I first created the world for Mega Man, but before I knew what the gameplay system would be, originally there was no Mega Man, no Roll, no Dr. Light. Cutman was the hero. I imagined a game where you'd use those scissors on his head to cut down enemies and other obstacles as you progress through the stage. Now that would have made a very different game. Would it have worked? Let me know in the comments below." Kitamura would say this regarding Mega Man's character. "The other Robot Masters were made for some kind of specific job or work, so there's no need for them to have an off switch they can control. However, a robot helper like Mega Man can make his own judgments and therefore can decide whether he's needed or not. The sadness of being a robot is having this inorganic existence. To me, a hero embodies the virtue that we all have in our hearts. Someone who can still believe in what's right. I think when a person encounters a hero like that in art, they can learn a lot from them. That's the kind of hero I wanted to create in Mega Man." There's your backstory. Dr. Wily was the assistant to Dr. Light, betrays him, and seeks to take over the world with robots that they created together. Rock is transformed into Mega Man, and must stop Dr. Wily from succeeding in his attempt to take over the world. Before we go any further, I just want to show some appreciation to the design and name of Dr. Albert Wily. His name and character design is based on renowned scientist Dr. Albert Einstein. It is also interesting to note that Dr. Thomas Light's name is based on Thomas Edison. Even though Dr. Wily bears resemblance to Albert Einstein, Dr. Light doesn't bear any resemblance to Thomas Edison. But what influenced the design of Mega Man and his ability to absorb the Robot Master's weapons? Kitamura would explain, Mega Man would have a lot of little influences from anime, manga and tokusatsu. Astro Boy, Kasern, Kikaida, Kamen Rider and others too. It was Matsushita too who came up with the idea of Mega Man changing colours when his weapons change. In the beginning, I imagined a character like Mega Man equipped with some kind of weapon, but when you transformed, your whole appearance would change. You know that little protrusion on the top front of Mega Man's helmet? When you changed weapons, it was supposed to change like the Ninja Captor character's helmet and show a little symbol depending on the weapon's element. Fire, water, lightning, etc. Unfortunately, for various reasons, we weren't going to be allowed to use those symbols like that. But that design element was super important to me. It really wasn't up for compromise. As I sat there fretting, Matsushita came over and said, "How about this?" What he showed me was the colour change mechanic. It was a fresh, stylish idea, and this was when I started to get really excited about Mega Man's character design. How do you get more weapons? As I said before, Mega Man is always equipped with the Mega Buster. You will always have this, can shoot 3 bullets at a time, and never run out of ammunition. To get more weapons, you defeat the Robot Masters, and Mega Man absorbs and equips their weapons and abilities. Have a limited amount of ammunition, but can be replenished by grabbing the weapon refill crates. No single weapon dominates the other. Seasoned Mega Man gamers will know that the gameplay for all the Mega Man games is that the game follows a sort of rock, paper, scissors format. Not as complicated as rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
How does it work?
Oh, it's very simple. Scissors cuts paper, paper covers rock, rock crushes lizard, lizard poisons Spock, Spock smashes scissors, scissors decapitates lizard, lizard eats paper, paper disproves Spock, Spock vaporizes rock, and as it always has, rock crushes scissors.
Certain weapons will do higher damage to enemies or none at all, which forces you to think about which level to choose and what weapons to equip to beat the level. Unlike Super Mario Bros, these games aren't linear. You don't have to beat the Robot Masters in a straight order. You can beat them in any order you want, and everyone has their preferred order. This was unheard of for most games of the time. The first Mega Man game was released in Japan on December 17, 1987, and around the same time in North America. The game wasn't released in Europe until December 13, 1989. Before we get into the release of the first Mega Man game, we need to address the elephant in the room, and the one thing that still leaves fans scratching their heads to this day and makes most gamers laugh. It is this, the North American box art for Mega Man. Seriously, what the hell is this? It is a thing of legend now, as the Mega Man on the cover bears no resemblance to his 8-bit counterpart, carrying a pistol, having a blue and mustard yellow suit, palm trees in the background, and looking like he just crapped his pants. This is a joke. According to reports, the cover art had not been done in time, and the marketing department at Capcom USA needed a design by the next day, so it was done in 6 hours, and we got the abomination cover art we see today. This design of Mega Man has become a thing of legend amongst gamers, and as he has been included as a guest playable character in 2012's Street Fighter X Tekken, and appeared in the Resident Evil 3 remake as a toy in the Toy Uncle store, complete with the same design and carrying his trusty pistol. Gotta love that. The box art design is terrible, but fair play to the legacy it has made. How did Mega Man fare amongst critics? Well, the game was very well received by critics and received very positive reviews. Here are some of the positive reviews it received. 4.1 out of 5 from Nintendo Power, 83% from the Games Machine, 8 out of 10 from IGN, 5 stars from Allgame. Allgame would go on and say it is a near perfect blend of action, challenge and audio-visual experience. Lucas M. Thomas of IGN said the game is an undeniable classic for the NES, knowing its gameplay, innovative weapons-based platform gameplay, and music as high notes. In list-based reviews, Mega Man has always been listed highly. IGN listed it at number 30 of its top 100 NES games of all time. Nintendo Power listed it at number 20 on its 100 Best Nintendo Games of All Time in its September 1997 100th issue. 1UP.com listed it in their top 5 overlooked video game prequels and at number 17 on its top 25 NES games list. Whether it got a positive or negative review, the general consensus is that the game is noted for its difficulty and is commonly listed among the most difficult games on the NES. Some have even said that there's hard, NES hard, and then there's Mega Man hard. There's nothing wrong with a bit of challenge, and I enjoy the challenge that this game gives me, even if I want to tear my hair out when I'm not on my game and die or get hit frequently. One of the biggest challenges in the game is a boss in Dr. Wily's Fortress Stage 1, the big yellow bastard. No, not that one from Sin City, the Yellow Devil. He is so notorious that he became a stage hazard in the Dr. Wily stage in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. He morphs back and forth on the screen and each part of him can hurt you. You have to memorize the pattern, and when he is complete, he shoots a bullet from his eye. He can be a giant pain in the ass, but it feels awesome when you beat him. Kitamura said this about the Yellow Devil. At the time, one of the managers at Capcom saw the Yellow Devil and went, You can imagine how impressed the managers at Capcom were with the Yellow Devil. On the flip side though, with the sales of Mega Man, it didn't exactly perform to expectation. In Japan, the game performed very well, but in North America, not so much. It could have killed the franchise, but fortunately, the video game gods looked down upon us and allowed us, the franchise, to live as word of mouth spread, and the game became the sleeper hit of 1987. Mega Man left that much of an impression through its success critically, as that saved the franchise from dying there and then in 1987, all because of its sleeper hit status. Its success was only going to get greater. In the video game industry today, we have to wait many years for a sequel to a popular game, unless it's a sports game like FIFA, Madden, or WWE 2K that release a new game every year with few developments in gameplay and just have an updated roster. We have to wait years for a sequel to a popular franchise. There was 5 years between Resident Evil 3 and 4, and there was 4 years between Mortal Kombat 9, 10 and 11. Back in the 80s and 90s with the NES, Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, sometimes all we had to wait was 1, maybe 2 years for a sequel to be released, and that's exactly what we got with Mega Man 2. Akira Kitamura wanted to make a sequel to Mega Man straight away, but producer Takuru Fujiwara was against the idea. Kitamura, not giving up on the Blue Bomber, would go to the Capcom vice president to get the permission he wanted to make Mega Man 2. Capcom would greenlight the sequel to Mega Man on the condition that the developers worked concurrently on other Capcom projects. The team went straight to work and began development on Mega Man 2, working long 20-hour days and spending a lot of their own time working on the game, adding more levels, weapons, and improving the graphics in the game. The development time stated by Keiji Inafune was 3 to 4 months, and they were determined to prove that the Blue Bomber deserved to be amongst Nintendo's elite. Here's a fun fact about an element of Mega Man 1 that was transferred to Mega Man 2. In the first Mega Man game, there were originally 8 robot masters, and it was cut down to 6 due to the space limitations on the NES cartridges. One would have been called Bond Man. Judging by the picture, he would have excreted glue or some kind of adhesive and would use that to stick Mega Man to one spot and then attack him. Sadly, no information exists about the 8th Robot Master. The idea of 8 Robot Masters was brought back up for Mega Man 2. Keiji Inafune, who was working as an artist and character designer for the first game, became more involved with the development process of Mega Man 2. He recounts in an interview for the book Mega Man Official Complete Works that working on Mega Man 2 marked my second year at this, and I even got to mentor a new kid, which opened up a whole new world of stress for me. Due to the limited cartridge space available for the first game, elements such as planned enemies were omitted from the final game of Mega Man. Some of this unused content was then used for Mega Man 2. Kitamura wanted to explore more of the weapons dynamics in Mega Man 2 and would state, "In Mega Man 2 we first planned on how the weapons would work, their effect, how they moved on screen. Then we matched them to the Robot Masters. That way, if the player pays close attention to the way the weapon works and the way the boss moves, they might get some hint about what his weak point is." Kitamura remarked about the limited time they had for fine-tuning the weapons mechanics for Mega Man 2 and said, "Normally we do a lot of playtesting, trying out all the weapons in different places, but in Mega Man 2 we didn't do anything. Once something was finished, we checked that it worked, and that was that. If we hadn't done it like that, we never would have made the deadline. Aiding you on your journey this time around are the 3 support items. Item 1, Item 2, and Item 3. Each provides a different function and helps the player traverse certain levels and can help get certain items. Another element implemented into the game was a brand new password system. These were implemented into the game after Capcom received complaints from gamers about the first game's difficulty. Also, here's a random thing to point out. Inafune's supervisor was especially unsure about the usefulness of the E-energy tanks. Even with the graphical limits of the NES, they designed the characters with the same pixel art that would become synonymous with the series. They maintained the consistency between the designs and final product, but some design elements were sadly lost in the transition. The gameplay system from Mega Man was transferred to Mega Man 2, as well as with added traps for the player to navigate. The score counter was dropped in Mega Man 2 because who needs points in an action platformer? Interactive elements were also dropped, such as this, revealed by Kitamura. In Mega Man 2, in the forest at the beginning of Woodman stage, I had him, Matsushita, code it so that if you used atomic fire on the trees, everything would burn up and the bat enemies, would all fly off. Sadly, that ended up getting removed from the game. One of the biggest things that Mega Man fans, critics, and gamers always remark about is the music. This game has one of the best soundtracks ever produced for an NES game and was composed by Takashi Tateishi, with Mega Man composer Manami Matsume co-composing a minor part of the Airman stage. Here's what Kitamura said about Tateshi and his compositions. The source of my worries with Tateshi's initial compositions was they didn't match the game in motion while you were playing. They didn't match the movement, speed, or actions, jumping, shooting, of the gameplay. So despite the fact that they were very good songs, they felt too laid back in the game. He was going to have to rewrite them. At that point, I decided to try and give him some new guidance. You're floating in the water. Everything is sparkling, but there's danger. The excitement of being up in the sky, of teetering right on the brink. Don't look down. Hurry, 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 hurry. Concentrate, take your time, and figure it out. Disappearing blocks. Keep moving along at a brisk pace. Don't stand in one place for too long. Smash, crunch, crash, clank. The gears are turning. Slipping and sliding through an underground maze. This way, that way, this way, that way. Ascending the stairs higher and higher. Climb and climb. To accomplish that, I also told Taiteshi not to focus on melodies like he had been. I said to try and let the change in the rhythm express it. But thanks to those efforts, we ended up with songs like Crash Man, Heat Man, and Quick Man stage themes. The short, repeated musical loops in Heat Man stage and the intense music of Quick Man stage really contribute to the player's sense of tension in-game. Taiteshi did a great job. God, they're so good, and Taiteshi certainly did do an amazing job with the composition and music. We've gone through the development history, how the team were under tight time constraints, how elements were moved from Mega Man to Mega Man 2, dropped interactive ideas, the addition of the support items, password system, and the music. What is the story though? Mega Man defeated Dr. Wily and brought peace to the Earth. Where could the sequel go? 1 year after defeating Dr. Wily, the world is plunged back into darkness and is under attack by Dr. Wily, who has returned to exact his revenge for his defeat from his new fortress. Still hell-bent on taking over the world, Dr. Wily has created 8 new robot masters, born from his own designs. These are Metal Man, Air Man, Bubble Man, Quick Man, Crash Man, Flash Man, Heat Man, and Wood Man. Mega Man is ordered by Dr. Light to save the world and sets off to defeat the new robot masters and Dr. Wily. Can he save the world, or will it fall and come under the rule of Dr. Wily? When you boot the game up, it immediately starts with a brief recap of what happened in the previous game. The music playing starts slowly and builds and then BOOM! There's Mega Man on top of a building, surveying the city and world he must save. And the music, god damn, it's awesome. Just gives you that adrenaline rush and makes you want to kick some ass and save the world. When you select your difficulty, you zip away. You'll notice straight away just how much more different this game is to the previous. On the level select screen, you will notice that instead of pixel versions of the Robot Masters you will face, they have been replaced with much more defined designs. Dr. Wily is also in the middle, but he can't be selected until you've defeated all 8 Robot Masters. When you select your stage, the pixel design appears, thus a taunt in the blue tube type thing, flying through space. One thing I want to point out is that most Mega Man 2 players will have a specific order to defeat the Robot Masters. I have my own particular order, and everyone's is different. There is no right or wrong in the order of defeating the Robot Masters as long as you know how to defeat them. Leave yours in the comments below and we can compare. My favourite level personally. I just love the factory look with the gears and conveyor belts. The music is also the best. Just listen. Anyway, first thing to watch out for is a metal press called Press, followed by digger drills called Mole. There's loads of these annoying sons of bitches, so fire wildly here or use the time stopper if you have done Flashman before this stage. Those clown things dropping on the wheels are called Pierrobots, and then the most annoying jump in the game for me. Usually, as a kid, I would jump too early and fall to my death. Normally, to get over, you have to jump right on the edge and land right on the edge. Timing is everything. Get over alive and well, run past the Springer, and face Metal Man. He will fire the metal blade, so if you have the quick boomerang after beating Quick Man, use that. There's also an easier way to defeat him, but I will share that later. He jumps from side to side, launching his metal blades at you. Stay on him, using a quick boomerang, or Mega Buster, and dead. Another massive difference here is that you'll see Mega Man receiving his new weapon, and what colour it changes your suit to. Remember how I mentioned about how the background could have been interactive but was taken out? Yeah, that would have been done here. Thank God it was used for Mega Man 7 in Slash Man stage. Anyway, you've got these bat machines called Battens slowly coming towards you, so slip past them, kill the rabbit machine called Robbit, and head underground. Here you'll meet Frender, and there's 3 of them. Shoot them with the metal blade, and moving on. You'll come across these 8 machines called Mon King, who grab onto the platform below and pounce on you. Move past more Robbits and the bird machines called Cook. These jump over you, so no need to attack them. As a kid, I would always try to attack them and run into them and always get hit. We're at Woodman now. If you have the atomic fire after beating Heat Man at the ready, use that. But in this instance, Metal Blade is also awesome. Woodman will use his leaf shield, so charge your atomic fire, or fire the metal blades whilst avoiding the falling leaves, and hit him, and guess what? Dead. Ah, what looks like a crystal mine or something. I've never really known. Just guessing it is a crystal because of how the floor changes colour and the background. It's also a bit slippery, so watch out. First big boy, and it's Sniper Joe. He's back from the first game and he has a big ass tank. Keep moving, and if you can avoid the battle tank Sniper Joe, then go for it. Run along here, time your jumps nicely, and you get yourself a brand new E-Tank. Now, let's see what Flashman can do. His weapon is the Time Stopper. As you can imagine from its name, he stops time and freezes you in place. He then has free reign to shoot you. Pity his aim is horrendous. Throw everything you can at him, and dead. And wait, what's this? No, it isn't a glitch, but a message from Dr. Light. Okay, he's telling you that item 3 is now ready to be equipped. As we've seen here, after certain levels like Flashman, you'll get a message from Dr. Light about certain items being ready. But I won't spoil it if you haven't played the game before. First you got the Karog, who spit 3 micro Karogs at you, followed by falling platforms that fall as soon as you touch them. Then after killing some Tanishi, it's time to go underwater. When you're underwater, you're slightly slowed down and can jump higher. Watch out though, when you reach the bottom you're surrounded by spikes. One mistimed jump and it's instant death if you touch the spikes or water jets. Take out the Anko and shrink, carefully jump your way through here without dying, avoiding the M445, and you're almost there. Jump across these platforms, either avoiding or killing the claws, and it's time for Bubble Man. His main weapon is the Bubble Lead, so have your metal blade at the ready, shoot the shit out of him, and he is dead. You'll notice straight away on how the clouds are pulsing as well. You can even end up behind the clouds. Pretty cool for the NES, huh? Be careful though, as things can hide behind them, and the first hazards are these big block machines called Goblin, randomly appearing. This can prove difficult, and I'll get to that in a bit. These big bastards have horn drills coming out the top with little enemies called Petite Goblin crawling out the side. The next hazards are Kaminari Goro, who throws lightning bolts at you. Destroy him and jump on his remains. That's pretty morbid, but it has to be done. Another case of timing your jumps perfectly here, as if you mistime it, you could end up doing it again or dying. Continue your way through the level and you end up here, where two goblins pop up next to each other. If you mistime the second machine's appearance, it can take time to pass or position yourself just perfectly so you can continue. You'll find yourself coming up against these fat bastard wind machines called Matasaburo. Destroy them nice and swiftly with a few shots before they blow you off the platform. Get to Airman and watch out for his air shooter attack, as his attacks have no fixed placement and mistiming your jump will get you hit. Attack him with the leaf shield and dead. Let's take a look at Crashman now. You start off and you're being bombarded, if you can call it that, by 3 enemies called Telly. Get through them and start climbing. Believe me, you'll be doing that a lot here. Oh, hello Metal, you annoying little bastard from the previous game. Next, a platform on a set roof. Pretty self-explanatory here. Get on it, shoot the tellies and climb. So much climbing. Is this how Mega Man got to Airman stage? That's interesting. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. 2 ladders to choose from here. Make sure you pick the right one though. Got some spring-loaded bad guys called Flyboy. Pretty easy to evade and kill, then off to Crashman. He will use these crash bombs, just evade them, use your new air shooter, and dead. Ah, more lava pits with Flyboys and Tellies trying to kill you. What's this? More appearing and disappearing blocks? Lovely. If you have the patience or don't have any of the items, you can do it manually yourself, but I recommend to use item 3 here. Then you've got to time your jumps some more with the disappearing and reappearing blocks, and you get here. I choose item 2 every time. Get past Battle Tank Sniper Joe and equip the bubble lead to face Heat Man. He has the atomic fire, so shoot him a few times, avoid his attacks, and dead. Quick Man stage, unlike the excessive climbing in Crash Man stage, requires you to go down. So follow the route, and the biggest challenge are these. My brother would call them nuclear cheese strings. They can kill you in one hit. These things called Chanki Maker light the area. When you destroy them, the area goes dark and won't light up until you encounter the next one. So remember to jump when it gets dark, as there may be a platform to jump on. At this point, the nuclear cheese strings are back. I like to use the time stopper here, but if you're skilled enough, you can get through it without getting hit. I've managed to do it a few times, but I prefer to use the time stopper. Get through the Battle Tank Sniper Joes, and it's time to go one-on-one with Quick Man. He's fast and will use his quick boomerang against you. Go in with your time stopper if you didn't use it, the nuclear cheese strings, then equip the crash bombs or Mega Buster and just blow his ass up and dead. In the first Mega Man game, at the end of each Dr. Wily stage, you'll face a big boss. This happens again in Mega Man 2, some are easy, some are not. You don't have to select the Dr. Wily levels, as you're taken straight into it, and we get our first look at Dr. Wily's fortress. Now, the bosses. When you reach the last part of the first level, you come to here where you have to jump along the blocks, and who comes up behind you? The Mecha Dragon! He may be a machine, but he is still a dragon and shoots fire. Your quick boomerang will do the business here, so be sure to avoid his fire, as one hit can make you fall to your death. Shoot the living hell out of it until dead. After getting through the level, you'll meet Pico Pico-kun. Fun fact with the Pico Pico-kun boss fight, Kitamura had a different vision for the fight, and he said, "In my design plans, as the blocks flew out at you, you'd have less and less places to stand. You could fall into the pits left by them. However, because Mega Man 1 was criticised for being too hard, Our programmer, Matsushita, said there was no way we could do something like that in Mega Man 2, and he left the floor intact. But the floor tiles disappearing had been the whole reason I made that boss, so I thought the change really sucked the life out of that battle. If you want to play it as it was, try not stepping on the places where the blocks have fired. That's the raw version of Pico Pico Can. I designed him that way. It should be really hard, but also really fun. He is made of 2 parts of the wall or floor and flies at you. Have your metal blade at the ready, avoid his flying attacks as he does get faster with each attack, and dead. Pretty easy to be fair. Before we get to the boss in Wily Fortress level 3, we've got what I feel is an annoying fall. So, you start here and fall. Either side of you are spikes and you have to avoid them. One wrong move or placement and you're dead. I always hated this as a kid as I always undershot it or overshot it. As an adult and seasoned Mega Man gamer, I can do it easily. Now, the boss. Here we've got the Guts Dozer. This big bastard has drawn inspiration from Gutsman from the first game, but he's a dozer or tank now. Anyway, have the quick boomerang ready, shoot its head, and dead. The easiest so far in my opinion. Up next, we go from the easiest to the hardest. This is the Boo Beam trap. There's 5 of these bastards attached to the wall and protected by walls, so you're going to need item 1, item 3, and the crash bomb to destroy them. Make sure they are full. They charge their weapon and will hit you until you're down to 2 left. You need to perfectly plan your route and do it fast as hell to avoid getting hit too much, so make sure you have an E-tank as a just in case. I always hate going toe to toe with this boss because you can't avoid their attack until there are 2 or 3 left, making it very difficult. Using the right item, get through each part as quickly as possible to reduce any chance of getting hit and just surviving so you don't lose a life or use an E-tank. The hardest boss fight so far for sure. Now you've got to go through the Robot Masters again. So make sure you've got enough of the right weapon against them, and with Metal Man, if you're playing on normal difficulty, use the Metal Blade just once and dead in 1 hit. 2 if it's on difficult. After defeating all 8 Robot Masters again, time to face the Wily Machine. This has 2 forms, and the first form, use the Atomic Fire. Second form, use the Metal Blade and shoot the shit out of it, and the Wily Machine is destroyed and so is the floor. Where you fall into an underground cavern. This is creepy. Blood dripping from the ceilings, echoing as it hits the floor with no music whatsoever. Now it is time for the final battle with Dr. Wily, who appears and transforms into an alien? What? Have your bubble lead at the ready, avoid his attacks, and attack him with the bubble lead until he is dead. The alien Wily is killed and the room starts to flash and reveals that it was all a holographic projection. The machine breaks down, Wily jumps out of it, and just like the first game, Wily begs for mercy. Dr. Wily has been defeated again. You begin your journey home, walking through the change of the seasons and through all the elements that have been thrown at you. Fire, wind, water, and snow. You arrive home and you disappear, leaving behind your helmet. The battle is over and Mega Man can rest. But is the war over? The end credits roll, and that is the end of Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 took what was brilliant about the first game and made it even better. The music, the design of the levels, the graphics, the best weapons, adding a password system, challenging levels and bosses, but not being too overly difficult like the first game, and still providing an engaging and fun experience for all. This game was released 35 years ago, and I have been playing this for around 30 years. I've done speedruns with a personal best of 46 minutes and 48 seconds. That's from when the first level starts to the final hit on Dr. Wily. I've completed it without losing a life and not using an E-tank, and you can check out a video of that on the channel. To fans of Mega Man, this is the best game in the entire series and is considered the benchmark where all Mega Man games are judged on. So what did the critics have to say about Mega Man 2? Before we get into the reviews, like the first game, we are going to address the box art. This time for the North American release and the European release. Unlike the previous game where the box art was heavily ridiculed, the North American release was closer to what the game advertised. Here you see Mega Man with a visor shooting at Quickman with a pistol. Mega Man has a pistol again. Ugh. Anyway, you also see Crashman nearby with what looks like Dr. Light hiding behind it. Why is Dr. Light hiding behind Crashman? Who knows? This box art was designed by veteran video game cover illustrator Mark Erickson, who admitted that he was unfamiliar with the game and was told that Mega Man used a pistol instead of his trademark Mega Buster. Let's move on to the European release, and for some reason, this gets more ridiculed than the North American cover art. This is the cover art I would have seen, and I thought as a kid it was awesome. I loved it. Mega Man, like a true badass hero, standing in front of what I assume is Dr. Wily's fortress, in front of what could be the Mecha Dragon, a possible silhouette of Airman and something else. This always reminds me of awesome superhero film posters where you have the hero there looking like he is ready for battle and war, ready to go in there and save the world by any means necessary. The impending doom of the red sky adds to it as well, an atmosphere that says it's about to go down. Mega Man looks like a hero. He looks more like his pixel counterpart than the North American version. It deserves more credit than the ridicule that it gets. Mega Man 2 was released on December 24th, 1988 in Japan, June 1989 in North America, and December 14th, 1990 for the rest of the PAL region. Unlike the first game, which was a sleeper hit upon its release, putting the series into question due to low and mediocre sales across the globe, Mega Man 2 absolutely smashed sales by selling over 1.5 million copies worldwide. The critics would heap all the praise onto Mega Man 2. IGN giving it a 9.5 out of 10, listed 3 of the bosses in their top 10 Mega Man robot masters. Mean Machines scored it with a 95% and praised the gameplay and its balance with its difficulty. The graphics were praised and they were called by Julian Rignall and Matt Regan as detailed and stunning. Electronic Gaming Monthly rated it with an 8 out of 10, giving it favourable reviews and praised the audio visuals of the game, new power-ups and the implementation of the password system. Games Radar ranked it as the second best NES game ever made, calling it the pinnacle of the 8-bit Mega Man games. The soundtrack was well received and is still well received to this day. Joey Becht of IGN listed 3 stage themes along with the main title song among the best in the series. In 2008, Game Informer listed Mega Man 2's introduction sequence as the 5th best video game opening, citing that the build-up of excitement that the music and appearance of the character instills. At the end of 1989, Nintendo Power ranked it top of their top 30 list. In August 2008, Nintendo Power listed Mega Man 2 as the 3rd best NES game ever, and also ranked it at number 33 in their top 200 Nintendo games ever. The mission that Kitamura and Inafune went on to show that Mega Man belonged with the big boys of Nintendo was achieved. They worked their asses off to create a game that would stay true to its foundations and improve upon them. They had little time to achieve this, and even with the task of completing this on time along with other projects they were on, they absolutely smashed it. Mega Man 2 has left a huge impression on fans of Nintendo, the series, and gamers around the world. It has been re-released on the Wii's Virtual Console and many compilation collections such as the Mega Man Legacy Collection released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and the Nintendo Switch. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl for Wii U and 3DS, Dr. Wily's castle was introduced as a playable stage along with Mega Man as a playable character. In the game he can use his trusty Mega Buster, the Leaf Shield, Crash Bomb and Metal Blade as an attack, and his recovery attack is the Rush Coil. Even that bastard that is the Yellow Devil appears. Finally, when you hit your final smash, you're flanked by your Mega Man brethren and shoot the hell out of your opponent. As I said before, it has become the benchmark for all Mega Man games within the original series of games. It left the biggest impression on me, and even with playing many incredible games since, I still rate Mega Man 2 as the best I have ever played. Why? I love it. I love the weapons, the music, the graphics, the designs, everything. It is simply exquisite. The legacy that it has left is truly fitting for a game of its caliber. Retro Gamer credited it with helping the series obtain the global presence that allowed spin-off series and more sequels to be made. Many of the conventions were established within the first game, but Mega Man 2 added crucial conventions that are retained for the rest of the series, such as the number of 8 robot masters you face, the E-tanks, and being the first game in the series to have an opening cinematic. Truly legendary. With all that being said, I must thank you for watching this special retrospective video on my favourite game of all time, Mega Man 2. As always, if you liked the video, give it a like. Share the video as well, because the more shares, the more views, the more that the channel continues to grow and the more I can do this for you. Subscribe to World-1 Entertainment, and if this is your first time on the channel, check out some of the other content that is currently available, and if you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so you are notified whenever a new video goes live. Drop us a comment below as well, and we can share memories and feelings regarding the Mega Man series. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time, and finally, Merry Christmas to all. Take it easy, everyone.